When your car's high beams work perfectly, but the low beams don't turn on, you're dealing with a specific type of electrical failure. Understanding why this happens requires knowing that low and high beams operate on completely separate circuits. The fundamental principle is that low beams and high beams operate independently through separate electrical circuits. This means one can fail while the other continues working normally. In traditional halogen headlights, both low and high beams exist within a single bulb, but use two separate filaments. The low beam filament produces 55 watts and creates a controlled cutoff pattern, while the high beam filament produces 60 to 65 watts for maximum light output. There are three primary causes of low beam failure. The most common, accounting for 60 to 70% of cases, is a burned out low beam filament, especially in older halogen systems. The second most common cause is a faulty low beam relay, responsible for 15 to 20% of cases. Relay contacts can become corroded or the coil can fail. A blown low beam fuse accounts for 10 to 15% of cases. While this is a quick fix, it usually indicates an underlying electrical problem that needs investigation. The low beam relay is a critical component that controls power flow to the low beam circuit. It operates independently from the high beam relay, which explains why high beams can work when low beams fail. Modern LED headlight systems use separate LED arrays for low and high beam functions, controlled by electronic modules rather than simple switches. While more sophisticated, they still follow the same principle of separate circuits for each beam function. Less common causes include wiring issues, such as corroded connections or damaged harnesses, accounting for 5 to 10% of cases. Faulty headlight switches represent only 3 to 5% of failures and are more common in high-mileage vehicles. Understanding that low and high beams use separate circuits is the key to diagnosing this problem. Most failures are relatively simple issues like burned filaments, faulty relays, or blown fuses that can be systematically identified and repaired. Before troubleshooting any electrical issue, safety is paramount. Start by parking your vehicle on a level surface away from traffic. Next, perform a visual inspection of your headlight bulbs. Look for broken filaments, darkening of the glass, or any obvious damage to the bulb housing. Locate your vehicle's fuse box, typically found under the hood or dashboard. Test the low beam fuse using a multimeter or fuse tester. Next, identify the low beam relay in your fuse box. Try swapping it with an identical relay, such as the horn relay, to test if the relay is faulty. Finally, test the voltage at the headlight connector with the low beams switched on. You should see 12 to 14 volts on your multimeter. For modern vehicles with LED or adaptive headlight systems, these basic tests may not be sufficient. These systems often require specialized diagnostic equipment and professional attention.